it's just really a sea change in the way that we go out to market. Bill has been spearheading this, and he's been a great inspiration to us at the company we work for now. So please welcome the host of this conference and the founder of the Center for Customer Engagement, Bill Lee.
Chris, thank you. Thank you, Chris. My apologies for my hometown of Dallas messing up the entire U.S. transportation system. Sorry about that. But I do find some of the folks from Dallas who were afraid they might not be able to make it are here, like Scott Atchison, and I hope others made it too. So welcome. We've got a great crowd this year. I wanted to share a story with you. A few weeks ago, I was at my local YMCA, and it was the middle of the day. I'm not normally there. I'm a 6 a.m. workout kind of guy, but I had been flying in from Chicago that morning, so I decided to stop off for a noon workout. And it was one of those situations where you're in a familiar place at an unfamiliar time. I don't know if you've ever noticed, but sometimes they can seem a little strange. And sometimes you get these aha moments. You get a moment of clarity. And that's what happened to me, and I wanted to share it with you because I thought of you. So imagine you're walking into this familiar YMCA. You've been into it a million times, but you're hearing this thump, thump. And then as you walk inside, you start hearing this music, kind of like we were just listening to. And you go past the weight room, and you go past the exercise machines to the biggest workout exercise room in the whole place. It's packed with people. They're busting moves, they're getting after it, and that's when I had my aha moment. These folks are sweating and smiling at the same time. How often do you see that? People doing an intense workout, grinning from ear to ear. And what's remarkable is the fitness industry struggled for years to attract a major customer market, the female demographic. And now they're filling rooms with them. And that's what made me think of you. A lot of you folks are finding it difficult to engage with customers in advocacy, especially to find passionate customer advocacy. Just like the fitness industry struggled to get people to these people to exercise. And there's this sense, and I get this when I work with your companies, when I talk to you, there's this sense that advocacy is sort of a hassle. It's a bother. It's like asking for a favor. You're uncomfortable doing it. Sometimes you feel like you need to provide incentives to get people to engage in this activity. Well, the fitness industry felt the same way until somebody realized, wait a minute, this is an assumption we're making. It doesn't have to be true. We can find ways to engage the passion and commitment of our customers. And so can you. This issue came up. It's the number one issue that you identified in our pre-event survey. So we're going to tackle it leading off. I wasn't going to do this, but leading off this 2015 Summit on Customer Engagement, we're going to tackle this issue and show you how you can reverse that misconception, both in your company and in this profession in general. We're going to take this on. We're going to do it right now. The key concept, and I haven't talked about this publicly before, the key concept is creating circles of engagement, what we call circles of engagement, and it's a very simple concept. And here's how it works. You imagine a couple of lines, a blue line and a green line. And the blue line represents the things that you want your customers to do. Exercise for the fitness industry, advocacy for us. The green line represents things customers enjoy doing. And a circle of engagement is simply the intersection of the two. These are activities that both give you the advocacy you need and are something that customers enjoy. So let's see how this works. Let's see how the fitness industry applied this. So here's the blue line now with the exercise industry there. And here's the way they were approaching this customer demographic. They were stuck on the blue line. They were stuck in their own stuff. So they were offering the usual things they've been offering for decades to their customers, things like free weights and machines. And where they found themselves was there's this big gap between what they were offering and the green line, things their customers enjoyed. So you get this kind of result here. The breakthrough is to focus over on the green line. And you need a process for doing that, and here it is. You look for what I call gateways on the green line, in this case, that look kind of like exercise. As I say, there's a very powerful process for doing this. We don't really need it for this example here. It's pretty simple. But you can imagine a brainstorming session one day when people got their mind around getting over to this green line, thinking about things our customers enjoy that look like exercise. I mean, how long would it take them to come up with dancing? Dancing is activity. It can be as intense as you want, especially if you got music like that. You do it indoors. Looks like exercise. That became their pathway to a circle of engagement. And notice when you're thinking and you're acting on this green line here, there's no gap. There's no need for external inducements. You don't have to incentivize or do things. The exercise industry is famous for doing New Year's resolutions. You know, in parlaying New Year's resolutions, the idea being that we know that our offerings aren't that interesting to you, but we're hoping you made a New Year's resolution. So we're going to give you a big discount on a year's membership if you do it by January. Those sorts of things. It's inducement. Those are inducements. And there's a much better way. That doesn't get passion. There's a much better way to do that. And this approach allows you to do it. And here's how that works. First of all, the difference between inducements, external inducements, and motivation. Inducements like points and rewards and these sorts of things, they're external pulls. They don't actually change the way you feel about the activity. It doesn't make you like the activity any better. It just might make you willing to overlook your objections and put up with them. And what you get from attracting customers in that way is you get compliance. Compliance. If you get over to the motivation side of the page here, you're working with internal drivers, fundamental human internal drivers, and these things do increase your enjoyment and the pleasure and the meaning you get from an activity. And instead of getting just compliance with motivation, you get commitment. So file that away. Watch how this works. So we've got our gateway. We've got dancing there in the fitness industry. Now let's see how we use, not inducements, but motivation to get to something that really engages their passion. So here's a template, and this is useful to use. A template showing the basic motivational drivers. You've got personal drivers. There's two categories. You've got personal drivers, attaching a larger purpose to what you're doing, allowing people to gain mastery, giving them autonomy. And these are summarized very well if you're familiar with Daniel Pink's book, Drive. He does a very good job of explaining these. Another equally important class of drivers are social drivers, and they're becoming increasingly important in this world we're living in now. And those include affiliation, social capital, and building social capital and building your reputation and status. These are exceptionally powerful and useful tools as you create passionate advocates, as we'll see. Here's how the fitness industry used it. You take an activity that's on the green line, that your customers enjoy doing. In this case, it's dancing. Now we're going to build in the motivation. If you take an activity that people enjoy and you attach a larger purpose to it, meaning that this activity provides benefits either to you or to people you care about, that's motivational. And of course, with this example here, you're getting a workout, you're getting healthier, You'll have more energy. You'll be able to keep up with your kids. You'll be able to roll on the floor with your grandkids. If you take an activity that's enjoyable and that has a larger purpose, and then you add the opportunity to affiliate with like-minded peers as you do this activity, that's motivational. In this case here, they made these into classes. It wasn't an individual event or something you do with a trainer. It's a class. You can have your peers. You can go to this and make friends and build community. Highly motivational. That helps to keep you coming back. Third one is mastery. Mastery means it's an activity that is enjoyable, there's a larger purpose, you're affiliating with your friends, you want challenge, you want variety. That's what mastery means. It gives you challenge and variety. You keep learning. It's not the same thing over and over again. So forth and so on. I won't go through all these, but that gives you the idea of how you take an activity that's enjoyable, attach powerful motivational drivers, and the result is Zumba. Circle of engagement. So there's what it looks like. That's what you want to do with your advocacy programs. You want to go from there, over to the other side. So let's take these ideas and apply them directly to our field. And what we're going to do is we're going to posit a customer. We're going to create a profile of a customer that's typical of a lot of you. And since we have to pick something, I thought I'd pick one that's challenging. So, creating Zumba for a CIO. Right? We're going to take a CIO, we're going to take a profile of a CIO who's a typical customer of a lot of you, and we're going to see how to apply these same principles in powerful ways that unlock tremendous opportunities for advocacy. So, here's our CIO. You're doing business with him. You've sold him a very innovative solution. A lot of you are doing a great job with these. I talked to some clients and to others of you that I know about the solutions you're developing at this level. You're trying to penetrate the C-suite and you're succeeding with terrific, innovative solutions. You have a direct relationship. Bob here hasn't delegated you down. You have a direct relationship with him. That's awesome. As you get to know Bob, you find he's passionate about raising the visibility of the CIO, of the IT function and the CIO, both in his company and in his industry. He sees the CIO as a strategist, not just somebody who's taking care of the hardware and the plumbing. And that's typical, of course, of the modern CIO. And he has a great Rolodex, great contacts, people that if you could get relationships with them, it would be very, very good for your business. In short, this guy's has terrific potential as an advocate. Now, there's a couple of things that some people sometimes overlook that are worth pointing out about Bob. Very likely, he sees your solution as strategic. It has applicability beyond what you're doing now in this initial engagement or in these early engagements. And the reason this is likely is because you've gotten a direct relationship with him. He wouldn't be doing that. He would delegate you down if he didn't feel this way. Keep that in mind. Secondly, he wants you to succeed. We all want our customer to succeed. We're spending a lot of time and attention on getting our customer to succeed. Sometimes we forget that a customer like this wants us to succeed. And the reason is because if you're a startup, he wants you to survive. He doesn't want you going out of business mid-installation. If you're an enterprise firm, he wants you to keep funding this area because he finds it strategic and promising. So you've got this awesome potential advocate. But then what I frequently run into is a disconnect in which people are reticent about engaging in activities with Bob. And I'll tell you some of the things I've run into. I had one client, SVP of marketing at a global technology firm, very smart guy. He was a fast-rising executive himself. And they were knocking down these customers. They were getting into the C-suite, very innovative solution. So in the conversation, I asked him, what are you doing to get referrals? And his answer was, well, we can't do that. We can't incent customers for referrals at this level. Don't have to. Second kind of objection that I've heard. I was doing a workshop for another technology firm, same situation, coming up with great solutions for a healthcare industry, and we had field salespeople in the room, and the field salespeople were telling me about how wonderful the solution was, how it was really creating excitement in the customers they had, and they were ready to launch. They were ready to take this business and really start expanding it, but they lacked proof points. Why do you lack proof points? Well, we're not done. We're still several months away from getting business impact results. So we have to wait for those. And I said, how do you know? Maybe not. Third one is references, just simple references. You ask, how are you doing just having these customers take reference calls for you? And a lot of times the answer is, well, you know, we try to do that, and they did it for a while, then they're sort of slacking off, they're not available, and I think we kind of turned them off a little bit. That's not necessary. It's probably the way you're approaching your reference program. So, to unlock, this is a CIO with tremendous advocacy potential. You're not tapping it. How do you do so? Just like we did before. We're looking for circles of engagement. And here's how to find them. Here's our engagement map. Now the activity is an exercise. It's advocacy. And over the green line over here is the things that Bob enjoys doing. We're looking for gateways, things that get close to the advocacy we need that he already likes to do, that we find out what he likes to do. Now, earlier with the fitness industry, it was easy to find, you know, the 15-minute brainstorming session. We found dancing pretty easily. This is a more complex situation. We need a process for it to get us to find these gateways, these promising potential circles of engagement. We need a way to get there quickly, and here it is. Oh, I was going to mention, when I hear objections like the ones I just shared with you, and the reasons for reticence from clients I work with and people that I talk to, they almost invariably come back to they're too caught up in the blue line. And that was the case with the reference calls that they were asking, this one particular client was asking his CIOs to make. So anyway, we're looking for the gateways over here on the green line. All right, finding these gateways. To find them quickly, ask two questions. And this is good stuff. This is going to be important, critical stuff to advocacy and to marketing in general, the information you gather here, good stuff. Number one, find out what groups are important to Bob. And then secondly, what roles does Bob play or aspire to play in those groups? Ask those two questions. And this is going to unlock a whole lot of value. Here's an example, some examples of the types. And I just took a slide and threw some on the slide. This is not exhaustive by any stretch. But this is just an example and gives you a flavor of the type of roles that a guy like Bob likes to play in the groups that are important to him. Things like being the thought leader, being a professional, playing his role as a professional, as an engineer, or as an IT guy. Sometimes he plays the role of the executive, which is different. Team player, mentor, cultivator of talent, consensus builder, visionary. These are the kinds of things that'll give you an idea of the roles that these guys like to play. And there's dozens, maybe hundreds of these. Just some examples. So here's what we find out about Bob. As we get to know him, as we get personal with Bob and develop this relationship with him, there's a structure to this. It's not just like finding out what team he supports and where he likes to vacation. These are critical things to find out as you get personal. Here's the groups we find out that are important to Bob. And this is pretty predictable. His company, his fellow senior executives throughout the company, the business unit heads, the other functional leaders, the C-suite. He wants a seat at the table, at the strategy table. His company, that group, important to him. His professional peers, important to him. His employees, he's a good guy. He likes to take care of his employees and get them well situated. They're important to him. What roles does he play? Well, with his company, we find out that he plays two roles. One is as a bellwether. He likes to be sort of a Paul Revere, letting his colleagues know about exciting new events in IT that may have a powerful impact on the rest of the business. The other role he likes to play is strategist. As I said earlier, he's not just about hardware and infrastructure. He sees himself as a business growth strategist and as a business branding strategist. With his professional peers, his relationships are kind of a little interesting here. With other CIOs, he doesn't like to hang out in big communities or big conferences where there's a lot of these people. He prefers to affiliate with CIOs who he regards as his peers and at his status. He's a little bit of, you might say, a snob. He wants to hang out with other CIOs who work at enterprise firms or at interesting fast growth companies, that they're on the leading edge of things like he is. That's the sort of people he wants to hang out with and affiliate with. And then third, with his employees, as I said, he's a good guy. He likes to develop their talent and leave them better off than when they first started working for him. So these are the roles that he plays and the groups that are important to him. By the way, there's another name for these roles. It's called social identities. If this was like a half-day workshop, we'd go into that. Remember that name and remember that term. So these are his social identities that are relevant. And notice each one of these groups is also important to you. You're not just interested in every group. You're interested in groups that are important to him that have potential additional business for you. And that's the case with all of these. All right, so back to our engagement map. We're getting on the green line now. Those social identities are potential gateways into circles of engagement. Let's see how. Let's take the bellwether identity that he has within his company, that he plays. Now, earlier we said, remember with the field salespeople, when they needed proof points, but their installation, the solution they were providing, hadn't yet generated business impact results yet, and they felt like they had to wait. That's a case of being stuck over on your blue line, on the way you think advocacy has always been done and always must be done. But what did we just learn about Bob? He regards your solution as potentially strategic. That's why he's got a direct relationship with you. He also thinks it's promising within his company, and in particular to the business units. And while you're not done, you don't have the final results in yet, the results you are getting, very promising. And this guy likes to be, what? A bellwether. He likes to be the Paul Revere. So you go to him and you say, Bob, should we let the business unit heads know about what we're doing here? What do you think he's going to say? He's going to say yes to that. This enhances his social identity within his company. Circle of engagement, joint case study. Let's take another role that he plays in his company, strategist. What does that point to? Well, let's say that you do have your business impact results, and they're looking good. And typically, you'd go in and ask Bob for a success story. Let's do a success story. We'd like to interview you, and the reason we'd like to do this is because we've done a really good job for you. That's often the subtext. That's not hugely appealing. Also, you're going to have to deal with their PR department. You're going to get bogged down potentially in approvals and delays. Not too appealing. But let's say you approach it like this, from the standpoint of his role as a strategist and his relationship with marketing especially. These days, CIO and marketing people are getting tight. CIOs are playing a very important role in marketing strategy. He has relationships at the senior levels, the most senior levels of your marketing department. So let's say you go to Bob and say, instead of a success story, let's consider this, Bob. We've been looking at your marketing campaigns, and we've noticed that these campaigns include aspects of what you're doing and what we're doing right here in the brand promise. You talk about the dependability of your solutions, the security of your solutions. That's stuff that we're helping to enhance right now with this project that we just got these results in on. Why don't we talk to your marketing people about not a success story with PR, but a co-marketing effort with your marketing people? He's likely to say yes to that. So there's a second circle of engagement. Now, there's a couple of others that we can point to. The inner circle business with his peers. He's kind of a snob. He likes to hang out with other inner circle types like him. And you can use that to figure out what has gone wrong with our request for references. And you realize that you've been sending him people that he doesn't really want to engage with. He's having to talk to people that he doesn't feel like are at his level. You're sending him the wrong people, not the ones that he wants to interact with. So you make an adjustment. You say, Bob, we apologize for that. From now on, we're going to sit with you. We're going to get clear on the profile of other CIOs that you want to engage with. Those are the ones we're going to send to you for references. And while you're having that conversation, Bob is a bellwether. He's a strategist. He likes hanging out and affiliating with people he regards as his peers, his inner circle peers. He likes teaching them and finding out from them. What are the latest trends in technology? Where's the cutting edge? He likes for them to tell him, and in return he reciprocates and he tells them. So instead of asking for a referral because we've done such a great job, would you do this for us? You ask him, these peers of yours, would it make sense for us to talk to them and tell them about the results we've been getting here? Is that something that they would like to know? Chances are he's going to say yes to that as well. It's because you've positioned it up on his green line and in accordance with his social identities. Now, earlier we looked at how to use principles of motivation to enhance these circles of engagement that you found. So I'm not going to go in this in detail, but if we take the activities that we've designed for Bob and that he's going to find appealing, joint case study, co-marketing, retooled reference program, more thoughtful referral request, done them in such a way that they're appealing. Here's the motivational drivers that we've hit on with these. I won't go through these in detail. They're pretty apparent. But just from what we've done so far, you're hitting 4 out of 6 of the major social or the major motivational drivers that any of us have. 4 out of 6. You can also use this template to suggest additional circles of engagement. For example, we haven't hit affiliation and autonomy yet. So what can we do? How can we engage Bob in a way that taps these drivers, that builds on these drivers? And those scream out for inviting him to a customer advisory board. If the customer advisory board is with peers, his inner circle peers that he wants to hang out with, and not people at a lower level or people just because they're at a hot prospect that you've got, but people that meet that criteria on his green line. Also, of course, this gives them a chance for autonomy. In a customer advisory board done well, you've got these smart people giving you input on the solutions that you're designing for them and how to create new solutions that they'll buy. They're telling you how to do this. He's going to find that very appealing. So you've hit by adding the customer advisory board, you've hit all 6 of these social drivers. It's a cue that you can use. You don't have to use it mechanically like this, but this template can help suggest additional ways to find these circles of engagement. So, where are we? What have we done here? We've engaged with Bob. We've gotten off the blue line of our stuff over onto the green line of what he enjoys. We found out we've answered the 2 key questions that get us to the gateways to circles of engagement. Here's what we've achieved. We've gone from a situation where we were getting just a few references from Bob, and he was starting to kind of peter out on that because of the way we were approaching it. Now we're providing him a package of advocacy that allows him to enhance his standing as a bellwether in his firm, allows him to enhance his credentials as a strategist, both in his firm and to the market with the co-marketing effort you're doing with him, that allow him to develop, to provide value to his inner circle of peers and to affiliate with more of his peers, find more of his peers that he'd like to affiliate with through your customer advisory board. Quite a change. And that, folks, is Zumba for a CIO. So this group right here, a couple of hundred people, you are at the center of the most important trend in marketing today. Buyers want to hear from your customers. They expect to hear from your customers. It's critical to create successful customers, get their stories, and get them out into the marketplace. You're right at the middle of this, and you've got probably the most important talents required in this effort, at least on the advocacy effort, because on the advocacy end, because you're the ones that have skills affiliating and building relationships with these customers, and you're the ones that know how to tell their stories and help them tell their stories. And the idea that advocacy should be something that you have to, that you find it difficult to engage customers with passion and commitment, that you have to look at it as something that's a bother or a hassle to customers is just not necessary. A lot of you are figuring this out now in highly creative ways, and as we go through the presentations in the next couple of days, you're going to be seeing and learning a lot about how your peers right here are finding creative ways to engage that passion. So here's a framework for you to think through and think about how you can do this in your program as well.